We decided to come to birth to 3 because our daughter was born 3 months premature, and we knew she was going to have a lot of struggles, and we wanted to be able to give her every opportunity to progress the way that we know that she could.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
How are you feeling about having to contact birth to 3?
I don't know that, and see, I didn't answer the questions. I didn't say the question.
I'm feeling.
What was the,
How are you feeling about having to contact birth to 3?
The way, I don't know how to answer that.
I can skip it.
Are you bored already? Yeah, skip that one. Let me come back to that one. It might jog something,
Sure,
you know.
Absolutely. What were you expecting to happen when you called birth to 3?
When I called birth to 3, I was expecting a lot more, I guess, scrutiny, like that they were going to really analyze every little piece of what my daughter was doing, and that I would feel bad about it, and that it would kind of give me a bit of a complex about where she was at, and that definitely wasn't the case. We were really excited about what we ended up with birth to 3.
I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Let's redo. I just want to check focus real fast. So just keep looking right at the camera for me.
Can you do me a favor? Read me all the questions, because I don't want to read into too many of them.
That's fine. I'll start with what were you expecting to happen when you called birth to 3?
I was expecting birth to 3 to really analyze what my daughter was doing and go through, I guess, every aspect of her development, and that was scary at first because we weren't really sure how she was going to do with being born so premature.
So tell us what happened when birth to 3 came to your house.
When birth to 3 came to our home to do the initial evaluation, her coordinator really made us feel comfortable, became friends with us almost, wanted to see pictures, wanted to know about her, really became involved in our family.
What else happened, Lydia?
Okay, do that one over.
Yeah, you just keep going.
Okay. She really made us feel comfortable with wanting to know about Livy, wanting to see pictures of her, wanting to know about her development, her story. Really became friends with us.
What did your home visits look like?
My home visits looked like the coordinator coming into our home, bringing the person who she felt was the most suitable to the situation that we were dealing with Livy at the time. She really explained what the process was going to be with us, and gave us really good follow-up details about our visit.
Tell us about the interactions you had with the staff and your child.
Okay. Is this okay like
That's
this?
fine.
Okay. What was the question again? Sorry.
Tell us about the interactions, or how did the staff work with you and your child?
The interactions with the staff were amazing. I can call them with any question that I have anytime. Yeah. The interactions with the staff were amazing. I'm able to call them at any point. I have a question, a concern. They're very, very open to answering any question that I have. In fact, I've called them while I was at work because something was going on with my daughter.
Okay.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. What surprised me the most about birth to three was the openness and willingness to help with anything. I feel like I've used pretty much every coordinator that we've worked with to their fullest capacity. Questions, concerns, anything that comes up with Livy, I'm able to ask them, and they've given me phenomenal advice and walked me through everything.
How has birth to three made a difference for your family and your child?
Birth to three has made the difference with our family in that it gives me, as a first-time mom, the confidence, especially having a child with a need. I'm able to kind of proceed with what I'm questioning with confidence, and I've seen such a difference in her development. It's amazing.
What would you like to tell new families?
I'd like to tell new families not to be scared or worried about contacting them, that everything that they do has a purpose and a need for your child, and they're never judging, they're never pushing, they're always there to make sure that you're doing the best thing for your child and that your child is getting the best thing.
Any other thoughts or anything you'd like to share?
I think the only thing I'd really like to share is that as a new mom and a mother to a premature child, I wasn't sure how her development was going to go, and birth to three has really, really helped us out. They've really given me the confidence to parent my daughter the way that I know that she needs.
That's awesome. You did excellent.
Thanks.
For new parents. So, think about you're talking to a new parent, the new parent's the camera, and giving your story. And do you want me to run through the questions as a whole? All right. Can you tell us why you came to birth to three?
We came to birth to three after getting I first called birth to three after getting our prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome, and I was told, great that you called, but call us back after baby's been born. So that's what I did, and I believe it was about a month after I called that everybody came out to the house and met up with us, because I was told that with my son's situation with Down syndrome that birth to three would be a really good thing for him to experience.
What were you expecting to happen?
I didn't have too many expectations right off the bat of birth to three. I had heard about different experiences that people have around the country, and so I didn't really know exactly how Wisconsin was going to work or Waukesha County was going to work. But I was just hoping that someone would help guide me with what I needed to do to best help my son.
So tell us about your birth to three experience.
The first meeting, I believe a couple different types of therapists came out, and I should have asked you what the proper name for Lana.
Service coordinator.
Okay. So at the first meeting, a couple therapists and our service coordinator came out, and we mostly just sat at the kitchen table and talked, and I gave them a bit of background about our family, and they told me a bit about what they did and how they would try to help, because my son at the time was only about 6 weeks old.
So what did the home visits look like?
The home visits changed a little bit as my son went through the program, but initially, if I remember correctly, initially with the home visits, it was mostly just setting my son down on his play mat type thing or down on the floor, and having our physical therapist, Lee, take a look at what was he doing, how much strength did he have yet. And gradually, as we went through, especially that first year, she would just help guide me with what types of play and activity Matthew could be doing to strengthen the muscles that were most weak with him, because one of his biggest issues is his low muscle tone. And so essentially it really came down to playing with him, but what kind of things could I do to play with him that would help him the most in developing the strength that he needed.
Can you describe what your interactions with Lee were like?
Yeah, One of the things that I had read about or learned about was that if a person has some kind of weakness or whatever, they will figure out a way to achieve the task that they eventually want to achieve. But oftentimes, just figuring something out isn't the proper way to achieve something. And so Lee would always provide guidance. One of the things I remember the most that my son had trouble with was when he'd learned to stand. He initially, if he wanted to stop standing, would just fall back onto his rear end. And so Lee worked with me and showed me different types of play and activity we could do, balancing between the legs and helping him learn to bend at the knee so that he would eventually learn the proper way to sit down and not just a functional way to sit down.
Can you talk about your relationship with Lee and how it's changed over the years?
The relationship that we had with Lee, you know, initially she's just very nice and a person that, you know, came out to the house about once a month and helped us out, but it ended up being really kind of fun. We eventually got involved in a program, a baby yoga class through Birth to 3. And so the nice thing about that is, I'd say roughly 3 out of every 4 weeks of the month, we would get to meet with Lee. And then I felt like my son was being really well monitored as to, you know, then he was going through things faster than he initially did. The first, you know, year, growth was really slow, and it was much faster the second 2 years. And I know that by the end of the Birth to 3 experience that we just had, it was like really sad. I was like, oh, tears in my eyes to say goodbye. And luckily, we're managing now to even do some things beyond age 3 and stick with that. But it's really, this person is a big cheerleader for your child and the other people that work with them too, whichever ones are there. And it's just great that they know your child's strengths and weaknesses, and they get to know your child's personality and then can help work with that, because a lot of the sessions, especially at home, are primarily, you know, playing with your child and seeing what your child likes to play, and then what kind of activities can you do to strengthen that play and help them learn new muscle groups to use or whatever the case may be.
How has Birth to 3 made a difference for your child and your family?
For our family, it's been really nice. There was usually once every couple of months, my older 3 children were at home when the therapist would come over, or I could take them to activities. And it was nice because the kids got to see, oh, what can I do to help my little brother? And when I'm playing with my little brother, and they're at an age where they like to be teachers and that kind of thing. But they're also, you know, big cheerleaders for their brother. So they really liked participating in things and knowing how they could help and what things would be fun and useful to him. And I think really the program just helped guide my husband and I, and knowing that we mostly could help our child by having fun with him and, you know, playing with him and just guiding him. And we didn't have to have a rigid set of concerns, because when we first got that diagnosis, it was really scary. You have a lot of people telling you the things your child might never do. And so it's great to be working with Birth to 3 and having people remind you of all the things your child can do and is capable of learning to do.
Tell new families about Birth to 3.
I would want new families to know that, you know, for us, our son with Down syndrome is our 4th child, and when you get a diagnosis of whatever kind it might be, that your child has some kind of disability, some kind of delay, whether it's a speech thing or a physical thing, you know, it's really scary. You don't want there to be any added challenges for your child or anything. So I would say don't be afraid to ask for help and to get guidance, and ask plenty of questions. And if you're doubting something, definitely speak up and ask. I think those are my ideas.
Are there any other thoughts you've had or you'd like to share?
I guess mostly I'm just really thankful that we had the positive experience we had, that we had all the different people helping us that we did, because I learned so much from everyone, and just glad the program existed for us.
All right.
So tell us why you came to Birth to 3.
The reason why we came to Birth to 3 is when Peyton was born, she was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and we didn't know exactly what to expect with that, but all of our doctors and everything, they led us to the Birth to 3 program, which was very good.
How are you feeling about having to contact Birth to 3?
Well, I didn't. The way that I felt about having to contact Birth to 3 is that I wasn't exactly sure what to expect with it. But it was just nice to know that there was a program available to help us as new parents with a child with, a disability, and we had no idea where to go with that because we didn't know that Peyton had Down syndrome prior to her being born. So it was nice to know that we had a place to go. Am I supposed to be looking here? Can I look at you? Look there?
Mainly at the camera.
Okay.
It's really for like a parent.
Okay.
I think should be okay with them. Alright. What were you expecting to happen when you called Birth to 3?
I didn't know what to expect when we contacted Birth to 3. I didn't know if it was going to be a group of people coming in and telling us kind of like how to raise our new child or something like that. So I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but I was very pleased with the results with it. So
Tell us about your Birth to 3 experience.
So right from the get-go, the first therapist that we had was Peyton's physical therapist, and I was just very pleased with her home visits. She was very helpful with giving us tips on how to help Peyton advance in her motor skills and everything like that. And since we didn't know what to expect with Peyton's development, it was very, very nice to have a professional letting us know what milestones she was going to be reaching, if she was meeting those, what we needed to work on. And she actually advanced beyond physical therapy very quickly. So then we had our general educator come in, and I was more than pleased with our visits with her. Oh, I know. So, yeah. Oh, sure. Pepe. Yeah. So we met with our educator, and Peyton just loved her, which was great, and it made it so much easier to have our home visits. And so yeah, I was very pleased. Oh, baby.
Tell us about your interactions with Birth to 3 staff and what your home visits look like.
Okay, the interactions that we had with Birth to 3 were pretty much. When we first started out, we were in physical therapy, or Peyton was in physical therapy, and they would come in and she would help us with Peyton's her eating habits and getting her to crawl. And also Peyton had a heart defect when she was born, so we were helping her develop the strength so that she could make it through the surgery successfully, which she did, and that was wonderful. And so then, yeah, we only had visits once a month because Peyton was doing so well with everything. And then after physical therapy, since she was doing so well with physical therapy, we actually started going to the adaptive gymnastics, which was run by Peyton's physical therapist. So we continued that, and so she ended up getting sort of a form of physical therapy every week. And from there, we moved on to her educator, and the educator would come in and would start helping us with Peyton's social skills. So her language development, her interactions with her toys, recognizing, the people in her life and her daily tasks and everything. So that was very nice. And then at the very end, we started with speech, just a little bit. So we did the Hannon program, and that was just so helpful with helping Peyton's vocabulary develop. So I was very, very pleased with all of that.
Super.
Yes.
What surprised you?
So I have a break
Yes.
in there, so go ahead.
Nope, that's good. Okay. So what surprised me the most about Birth to 3 is the tools that her therapist would give me as a parent. In hindsight, they all seemed very
very much like common sense, but they were things that you don't think about in your daily life on how to help your child develop. So I was very surprised at how little tasks that they would give us to practice with Peyton, and how quickly she would hit her next milestones. And so it was fantastic, and it was nice, so that at each of our next visits, we would be able to have this whole list of new things that Peyton was doing, and our therapists were then very excited to see her development and her progress as well. So I was very surprised with how all these little tools just really helped Peyton.
How has Birth to 3 made a difference for your child and your family?
The biggest difference that I have noticed is that we've gotten from Birth to 3 is being able to talk to other people like outside of our immediate family, and what they can do to assist Peyton in her progress with their interactions with her. You know, it gave us almost like a professional guideline to help them interact with Peyton, so that she could interact with them then. As opposed, you know, because Peyton had obviously a language delay, but, you know, when we were talking about in Peyton's speech therapy, they gave us, you know, different exercises and different ways to speak with her, so that when, like, my parents or my in-laws, when they were talking to her, if they would use these methods that we learned in our speech therapy, then they were now able to communicate appropriately with her. And it took away a lot of frustration on both our end and on her end as well. It's a book?
Yeah.
Yep.
What would you tell new families?
The biggest thing that I would like to tell new families is to keep your expectations realistic. You know, since we didn't know what to expect when Peyton was developing, you kind of want somebody to come in from the outside and come in with a magic wand and fix all of the problems that your child may have. But that may not be what is actually going to happen. So I think that what we really valued was when Birth to 3 came in and we were speaking with the therapist, they were giving us as parents the resources to help our child. So then the visits with the therapist were not going to be all of Peyton's issues were going to be dealt with in that one visit. It was a work in progress that, you know, that every single day we had to put in the time and we had to have the patience with her. But in the end, it all has worked out really, really, really well for her. So we're very pleased with that. So just don't get frustrated with if your child doesn't meet their milestones. They will progress at their own rate, and just be supportive of them, because yes, your child is just magical. And the therapy itself is not magic. It's like your child is going to be what is magical, and with you as a supportive parent, you will help nurture that, and they will grow if you are going to be the you know, primary influence of that. So there you go.
The reason that we came to Birth to 3 is when Wes was 2 years old and went to the doctor's office, he still wasn't talking. He was pointing at stuff and squealing, but not very verbal for his age. So our pediatrician suggested the Birth to 3. Come here, buddy. And we called and got our first intake appointment. We had Linda, Sue, and I forget who the coordinator was. Who came? Who was the coordinator?
Don't remember.
Okay. Who was it?
Sue.
Sue Marshall. Yeah, Sue and Linda came to our house, and we put down a game plan for what we were going to do in the next year to try to get Wes more verbal. And they were really, really sweet and awesome. We had his grandparents here, my mom here, and they answered every question and addressed every concern, and were really, really, really nice. They were just really nice. Wes is kind of his own dude, and they immediately took to his very special personality, and were very understanding of, he hadn't been to daycare, he didn't know how to socialize with people outside the family particularly. That makes it sound like the mafia, but that wasn't it at all. They were very understanding of where he was at emotionally and worked with us just fantastic.
They seemed to understand that he didn't talk much because he didn't have to. Everybody around him knew, I want a banana, is that what it meant. And we used to get everything for him because we knew what he wanted.
And we knew that was going to be hard for him when he was going out into the real world.
So.
What were you expecting to happen when you called birthday 3? Were you afraid of anything? Nervous?
Nervous, no idea. We were so nervous when we called because
No. What we expected to happen.
What we expected to happen when we called birth to 3. What did you expect?
I kind of expected, somebody's going to come in and start telling us, this is how you got to do it, this is what you do, this is what you do. And it really wasn't like that. They came in and they worked with him instead of telling us this is how we have to do everything. It was not what I expected. It was really nice.
Don't spit, dude.
Anything else?
I expected that they would give us direction. Please stop the shooing. They would give us direction on what we could do to encourage the chatterbox that was in here to get to be verbal instead of the point and squeal. That was about all I expected.
You want to take it? What's he doing?
You go first.
Home visits were really informal. Linda came in and first couple minutes, hi, how's your day going? How's Wesley doing? How's he been? What happened last week? Because our visits were every other week, and it was, so what's happened in the last week? What happened the week before after I left? Okay, how's he doing today? Is he
having a good day?
Is he having a good day? Is he crying? Is he pouty? And then she would tailor all the lessons to his mood, especially when he was just around 2, when he was really moody and sometimes would not focus at all, or he'd have a meltdown.
Yeah,
And
there was a couple times when she was here when he would be having the major malfunction meltdown, and she just rolled with it. She was very understanding of his mood and where he was at, and it was really, really, specifically what was really encouraging on the home visits was in 2 weeks you'd get an update on visible progress. We would think we'd see progress, but as his parents, every little bit you don't always see. They're like, oh yeah, he's been doing that forever. And she'd come back in 2 weeks and she goes, yeah, he wasn't doing those 3 signs 2 weeks ago. So it was really encouraging to have someone reassuring you that the stuff you were doing on a daily basis was really making a difference and that she could see visible progress.
What surprised you about your birth to 3 experience?
how successful it was is what really surprised me.
He went in with really low expectations.
I honestly wasn't sure that he was going to be able to talk as much as he has been. It seemed like he was verbalizing, he was making noises, but would he get the sounds? Would he get the signs right? Teaching a little kid a whole new language while you're learning it, to me was very, very strange. I didn't know that he would pick it up as fast, and it was really nice. It was very.
What surprised me the most was once sign language was brought onto the table, how quickly it came to us. It was like he had been waiting for the means to communicate, and it exploded. We had weeks where he was going like 5 to 10 signs a week, and one of his favorites was, please brother, more play chase. That was his first full sentence, and it was because he and his 18-year-old brother were chasing each other around the table like a couple of puppies. But when I was explaining to Linda at the next visit how he was making full sentences out of all the signs that he had been picking up pretty organically, and all we were doing was, she said, don't try to teach him his colors and numbers, teach him words that he actually would use, like please, play, more, chase, and that was
Happy,
a huge
sad.
one. Happy, he still uses happy. He's still got his own little version of half sign language, half speaking.
Yeah. If he does something and he's sorry, it's always sorry, Dad, sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
You know.
So he's still got his own little half version. He hasn't lost all of his signs, but he's gaining more words. And that was the most surprising, was how fast he picked it up.
How has birth to 3 made a difference for your child and your family?
I used to joke how birth to 3 made the hugest difference for my family. I used to joke when Wes was like a year and a half old, was that I'm used to going to work and having people point and yell at me, and I wasn't going to come home and take it from a 2-year-old. And I only said that half tongue in cheek. The biggest thing that birth to 3 gave to us is he was able to communicate.
Yeah.
I could come home and he could say, please, more banana. Or all done, no more, all done. And being able to communicate with him and being able to understand what this meltdown, because that was it. He was really frustrated before we were able to communicate. Everything was a meltdown. Even if it was, you know, dust motes flying. It was, he couldn't communicate. And once Linda helped him figure out how to get over that one little jump, it just snowballed.
He was very happy to tell us that he was happy. He enjoyed a lot of being able to communicate where he hadn't been before. And he used to be really, really moody. And now the only mood he's got is happy. Because now he can talk and communicate.
Yeah, and one of the funniest kind of stumbling blocks was with the people more peripheral in his life, like his grandparents and my mom and his cousins, who weren't as familiar with the signs, that would need us to translate. And that was kind of fun, because his 2 cousins, who are about 4.5 years older than him, their mother is a deaf ed teacher. And so they would look and say, okay, so what is he saying? And would have people communicating translating for him. So a whole village was translating for Wes for the 6 months before he started to get words, and he was just strictly using sign.
Would you like to tell new families about the Birth to 3 program?
Don't be scared about the Birth to 3 program. Go for it. It will help. It will change your kid's life.
And your families.
And yeah, and yours.
Take every suggestion that's given to you and run with it. Every little change helps. Even if it seems like something that you can't really work into your day-to-day routine, every suggestion that we were given helped Wes to get where he is today, which is a loud and fun 3-year-old.
Even if you can't do what they say every day, if you can do it 2 or 3 times
a week,
sometimes the kids will pick up that, and it makes a world of difference. And it's a good way to spend quality time with your kid that you might not always get.
Any other thoughts you'd like to share? Anything we didn't ask or cover?
I cannot say enough about the staff at Birth to 3. They have been kind, patient, thoughtful,
Understanding.
Yeah,
It's very understanding.
considerate. If one of them had pink eye at one point and said, "Hey, I'm not coming." Wes had the sniffles, and we called and said, "Hey, we don't want to contaminate any other kids." Very sweet, very non-judgmental, really, really, really kind people who really want the best for you and your family, and will do whatever they can to help you get there.
And one thing I noticed about them is I have never seen a group of people that really, really love their jobs like these people. It's amazing. I hope someday I can find a job like that.
That's true.
All right, that's